What's up, guys? This is Draft Dashboard. Here are our DFS picks for NFL Week 5 for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before we get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button so you don't miss our new videos. Okay, let's take a look at the quarterback position. We like Jalen Hurts from the Philadelphia Eagles playing the Denver Broncos, who have a tough defense overall. Hurts is 6,800 with a dash rank of 100 and a projection of 21 points, which is reliable because he has started well over 3 games, and he's averaging 21 fantasy points per game. His recent form is steady with 19, 30, and 8 fantasy points in his last 3. We're also getting leverage with only about 4.6% ownership. We're paying for dual threat upside while the field shies away from the matchup. And even with some media noise, like the essentially sports QB power rankings, piece noting Hurts plummeted ahead of Week 5, we lean into talent, rushing ceiling, and tournament leverage, especially with another essentially sports piece backing his Super Bowl pedigree. If you're looking to save salary at quarterback, we like Bryce Young from the Carolina Panthers playing the Miami Dolphins, who have one of the worst defenses overall. Young is only 4,700 with a projection of 16 that's also reliable given his career starts, and he's sitting around 1.8% owned. The game environment should force volume, and at this price, a modest passing line can get there. There's some concern around Carolina's banged-up supporting cast per reports, but Young looked impressive against the Browns according to Essentially Sports, making him a viable salary saver in tournaments. Let's move to the running back position. We like Jonathan Taylor from the Indianapolis Colts playing the Las Vegas Raiders, who have one of the worst defenses overall. Taylor is 8,000 with a dash rank of 100 and a projection of 19. He's averaging 24 fantasy points per game and has recent outputs of 15, 36, and 13. At roughly 10.6% ownership, we're buying bell cow upside in a favorable overall matchup. The narrative is strong, too. He's been compared to Saquon Barkley in recent coverage, and the Colts added depth behind him per news reports, which underscores his role stability while keeping him fresh late in games. If you need a true punt at running back, Dare Ogunbowale from the Houston Texans is 4,000 versus the Baltimore Ravens, who have one of the worst defenses overall. The projection is thin, and this is only for extreme salary relief, but he's going completely overlooked. He's carved out special teams value and even handled emergency duties in the past as highlighted by Essentially Sports, so if unexpected news lands him a larger role, he could pay off at the stone minimum. Otherwise, keep this strictly to large field dart throws. Now at wide receiver, we like Amon-Ra St. Brown from the Detroit Lions playing the Cincinnati Bengals, who have one of the worst defenses overall. He's 7,900 with a dash rank of 100 and a projection of 20, averaging 24 fantasy points per game, and coming in hot with 26, 21, and 9 in his last 3. The matchup sets up well for volume and red zone chances, and the Sportsline model highlighted him among its top anytime touchdown picks, which supports the ceiling case. For value at wide receiver, we like Tyler Johnson from the New York Jets, playing the Dallas Cowboys, who have the absolute worst defense overall. Johnson is only 3,300 with a projection of 4 and about 1% ownership. You're betting on routes and a couple of grabs to open salary for studs at other spots. He's posted 0, 5, and 5 fantasy points in his last 3, and at this price, even modest usage can be useful in lineup construction. On to tight end. We like Jake Ferguson from the Dallas Cowboys playing the New York Jets, who have one of the worst defenses overall. Ferguson is 4,800 with a dash rank of 100 and a projection of 12. He's averaging 16 fantasy points per game and went for 17 and 21 in his last 2 with a 0 before that. Ownership is healthy at about 14.3%, but we're buying an entrenched role near the end zone and steady target share. Multiple preseason and Week 1 news hits from Essentially Sports framed Ferguson as locked in, which aligns with our usage expectations. For a punt at tight end, Luke Schoonmaker from the Dallas Cowboys also draws the Jets, who have one of the worst defenses overall. He's only 2,500 with a projection of 3 and about 1.6% ownership. He logged 3, 2, and 0 fantasy points in his last 3 and played all 17 games last season per Essentially Sports. This is a low-volume bet on a possible red zone. Look at the stone minimum when you need every dollar. Let's hit the flex. We like Jahmyr Gibbs from the Detroit Lions playing the Cincinnati Bengals, who have one of the worst defenses overall. Gibbs is 7,700 with a dash rank of 100, a projection of 20, and about 8.9% ownership. He's averaging 20 fantasy points per game, with recent scores of 18, 27, and 15. The matchup supports both rushing and receiving production, and there's even buzz in the media about a potential big receiving game for him this week, which fits the ceiling we're chasing. If you're multi-entering and want a deep punt for large fields, Isaiah Williams from the New York Jets at 3,000 against the Dallas Cowboys is a pure flyer. He posted -1, 0, and nothing of note in his last 3, so this is a thin play. But in massive tournaments, a single big play at the minimum can swing a lineup. Keep exposure minimal. Finally, defense. We like the Detroit Lions defense playing the Cincinnati Bengals, who have the absolute worst defense overall. Detroit's 3,500 with a projection of 8 and around 9.5% ownership, and they've put up 19, 8, and 0 fantasy points in their last 3. We're leaning into pressure rate and turnover upside in a spot where short fields could materialize. If you need to save salary on defense, the New Orleans Saints at 2,200 face the New York Giants, who have a middle-of-the-pack defense overall. The Saints project for 7 with ownership around 8.6%. At this price, you're getting a path to sacks and a couple of takeaways without sacrificing too much elsewhere. That's going to do it for our core plays and value darts. We're prioritizing elite dash rank players in favorable overall matchups, leveraging ownership where the field is light, and using news to confirm roll trends. Good luck this week, and let us know your favorite play in the comments.